why the Mall of America Water Park will change Minneapolis forever. So the Mall of America draws in 32 million visitors a year. Now imagine adding a massive indoor water park, open year-round, connected by Skyway. This $400 million project has been delayed for years, but now it's officially happening. And when Mystery Cove opens in 2029, Bloomington's real estate market is going to feel completely different. So let's take a closer look. What's actually being built? So picture this. You're going to be able to walk from Nordstrom straight into a wave pool. No coat, no car, no Minnesota winter stopping you. That sounds wild, right? But that's exactly what Mystery Cove Water Park will be in 2029. We're talking about 143,000 square feet of indoor water park. That's basically 3 football fields of water attractions under a roof. So the total investment is going to be over $400 million when you factor in the water park itself at around $375 million, plus infrastructure and a new parking structure. So let that sink in for a second. So here's what we're getting: a massive 52,000 square foot dual wave pool split by a themed ship structure called Captain Bucevio's, a 1,400 foot lazy river winding throughout the park, more than 30 slides and water attractions, a family splash zone for all ages, so you're getting tons of variety. And speaking of infrastructure, the financing story behind this, which we'll break down shortly, proves this isn't speculation, so stick around. So here's the other super cool thing: a retractable roof. So those brief, beautiful Minnesota summers, the roof opens up for that outdoor water park feel. During the winter, when it's -10 outside, you'll enjoy water slides in a climate-controlled environment. The whole thing has this retro 1950s mystery themed centered around a missing aircraft and a shipwreck. It's connected directly to the Mall of America via Skyway, and it's designed to hold 3,000 guests all at one time. The designer, Chris Grapp, said something interesting: we wanted to create a water park that's entertaining for 20 visits, not just one. They're designed for repeat visits, which changes everything about how this impacts the local economy. This isn't just a destination level attraction. It's meant for daily life for South Metro families. That distinction is very important for what comes next. Now listen, if you're thinking about buying or investing in Bloomington, Richfield, Eagan, or South Minneapolis specifically, I work with buyers and investors positioning themselves ahead of major developments like this. We can talk through current pricing, which neighborhoods offer the best entry points, and how to time your move before 2029. My contact information is in the description down below. All right, so let's get into it. So why is this a big deal for Minnesota? So here's why this goes beyond just having a cool water park to visit. So we have 2 seasons here, winter and road construction. And Mystery Cove fixes the biggest problem we have to deal with every single year. That being that half of the year basically disappears. That retractable roof makes the water park even better. In the summer, the roof opens up and it feels like a real outdoor water park. In the winter, when temperatures drop below 0, you can still be inside. The water park is climate controlled, so you can fly down water slides all year long. So this just isn't a summer thing. It becomes a 4-season anchor. But this is not simply about having something to do in January. It's about keeping people here longer, and that's where the real money gets made in tourism. Day visitors spending money, sure. But overnight visitors spending way more, hotels, extra meals, and shopping, it all stacks up fast. Right now, about 40% of Mall of America's visitors are tourists coming from more than 150 miles away, and the water park alone is projected to pull in almost 1 million visitors a year. A lot of those people aren't going to do a quick day trip anymore. They're staying overnight or even a couple nights. And when we talk about real estate, I'll show you exactly which neighborhoods benefit the most from this extended stay shift. So stay tuned. Now, Bloomington already has over 9,000 hotel rooms ready to capture that demand. Research by Whitewater found that 66% of hotels that added water park features reported average daily rate increases of 11% or more. Hotels with water parks also tend to get higher ratings and stronger occupancy. This also speeds up Mall of America's shift from retail to experience-driven tourism. The mall originally opened with an 80-20 split between retail and entertainment. Today, it's closer to 60% retail and 40% entertainment, and the mall's leadership is aiming for a 50-50 balance. The Bloomington Port Authority put it pretty clear. The water park fits the long-term plan to turn the mall into more of a mix of retail and entertainment, with a bigger emphasis on entertainment. Retail gets people to visit once, but experiences get people to come back. With Mystery Cove, the Mall of America starts competing directly with major destination resorts nationwide. Think Kalahari, Great Wolf Lodge, and the Cartwright Resort. Then you have the Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport, which served 37 million passengers in 2024, making it the 18th busiest airport in the entire United States. The airport is also going through major expansion, with over $571 million approved for capital improvements. Delta runs MSP as its second largest hub, serving 7 out of every 10 passengers that go through the airport. That kind of infrastructure makes national and even international marketing a whole different game. The water park turns into a real reason to add a layover or take a business trip and stretch it into a family weekend, which brings us to something important. If this is such a no-brainer, then why did it take 4 decades to actually happen? Why it took so long? So this water park concept has been in the Mall of America's vision since the 1980s, when 555 was first planning the mall. Then it came back in a real way in 2018 when they commissioned an economic impact study projecting almost 1 million visitors a year. So the demand was validated. Then COVID hit in 2020, and it crushed tourism and hospitality. Plans that looked fine in 2019 suddenly didn't work because travel collapsed. Financing markets froze and uncertainty spiked. Inflation then hammered construction budgets. The estimated costs jumped from around the low to mid $200 million range in early years to around $345 million by 2023, and ultimately it reached $375 million for the water park alone. So here's the thing: high interest rates made development financing expensive. Projects that penciled out with 3% interest struggled when rates rose above 6 to 7, even 8%. And that changed everything. So here's the thing. Kurt Haugen, Senior VP for Development at 555, even acknowledged interest rates remain high. And because of that, the company had to provide substantial loan guarantees. So they had to put real skin in the game, put your money where your mouth is, quite frankly. Now, this part is important. Minnesota had to change the rules. The legislature passed specific legislation in 2025 extending pandemic-era rules that loosened restrictions on tax increment financing so Bloomington could legally use TIF funds for the water park. So the city approved $160 million in tax increment financing in September of 2025. Private financing, including a $120 million loan and a $133 million CPACE loan. So the whole setup uses property tax revenues generated by Mall of America itself to help fund the development. And the Twin Cities market has proven demand. Mall of America still pulls in around 32 million visitors a year, and that is built-in traffic. And as retail keeps getting squeezed by e-commerce, the water park became strategically essential for the mall's long-term relevance. So by 2025, the pieces finally came together. Extended TIF authority, private loan commitments, and 555's loan guarantees. Projects don't survive several years of delays without real strength. The fact that this survived signals durable demand, not speculation. And that leads right into why Bloomington was uniquely positioned to make this work. So most cities would have to build all of this from scratch, but Bloomington already has it sitting there waiting. You have the Mall of America with around $2 billion in economic impact. Then you have the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport, basically right there with 37 million passengers a year, and they're doing a major expansion. On top of that, you've already got over 9,000 hotel rooms clustered right around the airport and the Mall of America corridor. And you're seeing new hotels pop up too, with over 300 rooms, the JW Marriott, the Intercontinental Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport Hotel, and the Hyatt Regency. Plus, the Blue Line light rail connects downtown Minneapolis to the Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport and the Mall of America, so people can actually move around without a car. So this isn't random. This is decades of Bloomington basically saying, we're going to be the tourism center of Minnesota and we're going to invest like we mean it. And Mystery Cove doesn't have to create that from zero. It just cranks up what's already working in the city of Bloomington and Minneapolis-St. Paul. Before this, a lot of families hit the Mall of America for a day, and then they went home. After this, those same families can justify booking a hotel for multiple nights, and now you're splitting time between shopping, Nickelodeon Universe, Sea Life Aquarium, and a full day at the water park. That's a different trip, right? And the ripple effects are pretty obvious. This leads to more jobs, longer average stays, and higher visit frequency. Convention and group travel gets more interesting too, because the water park makes Bloomington more attractive for conferences and for family travel. Don't get me wrong, Minneapolis and St. Paul are always going to be the headline names in the Twin Cities, but Bloomington is quietly positioning itself as the region's tourism capital. And Mystery Cove is going to speed that up. Now, let me show you exactly how tourism growth turns into real estate pressure. So Bloomington's median home price sits in the mid to high $300,000 range. Make sure you file that away, because understanding the baseline tells you where the opportunity is. So immediate impact areas are going to be Bloomington, especially around the Mall of America, Richfield right to the north, Eagan to the southeast, and South Minneapolis neighborhoods. So if you're thinking about maybe investing in a short-term rental, now would be the time, because in many of those areas, there's going to be high demand for short-term rentals because they're going to be closer to the Mall of America and Mystery Cove Water Park. So here's what the numbers actually look like. As of December 2025, Redfin shows the median sales price of a home in Bloomington to be $379,000, and Zillow shows in the mid 300s. Homes are selling in roughly 22 to 33 days. So Richfield sits in the low to mid $300,000 range, so it's more accessible as far as an entry point than Bloomington, while still being close to the new water park. Eagan ranges in the mid to high $300,000, depending on timing and the source that we're getting our data from. So South Minneapolis really depends on the neighborhood. Nokomis is around $410,000. Longfellow is in the high 300s to low 400s. And overall, Minneapolis's median range is from the low to mid $300,000. The market seeing modest but steady growth, about 2 to 4% year in and year out, with low inventory and competitive conditions. So Mystery Cove creates immediate demand for hotel rooms. Those 9,000 plus hotel rooms will see higher occupancy and higher rates during peak period. And you should expect new hotel projects to get announced as developers respond. 555 has already said they're planning a hotel directly connected to the water park. So with hotels popping up, This creates several hundred direct jobs plus indirect jobs. Areas closest to the Mall of America get more attractive for workers who want shorter commutes, so Bloomington, Richfield, and near South Minneapolis neighborhoods become more desirable over time. And when an area gets more desirable because of amenities and jobs, the entry-level home segment usually moves first, and it doesn't move down, it moves up. That range in the low to mid 300,000 tends to see the fastest appreciation when demand picks up. And Richfield, with those low to mid $300,000 medians, is the most accessible entry point near the Mall of America. So don't be surprised if a buyer activity heats up and appreciation speeds up as 2029 gets closer, especially for the city of Richfield. Then there's the redevelopment pressure. Older properties near major attractions get squeezed as land values rise. Bloomington has a lot of older housing stock, with the largest share built in the 50s through the 70s, which creates opportunities for teardowns, renovation, and infill. So with the water park opening in 2029, the market effects build gradually as construction moves forward. Buyers and investors with longer time horizons will benefit the most. This adds to the Mall of America's already massive visitor numbers. Make sure you understand, buyers need months and years to identify opportunities, secure financing, and actually close when you're talking about commercial real estate. This doesn't mean prices explode overnight. It means pressure builds steadily. Buyers who position themselves ahead of the opening gain an advantage. And the trade-off here is if you wait, you're probably paying a premium for reduced uncertainty. So the question becomes, who actually wins in this scenario? Who benefits the most? If you already own in Bloomington, Richfield, Eagan, or South Minneapolis, congratulations. You just gained home equity without lifting a finger. And that's really the honest truth. Long-term homeowners are going to see values move up because the area gets better amenities, more things to do, more reasons for people to be there. And if you're buying in 2026 to 2028, you're basically getting into today's prices before the water park opens. The trade-off here is you've got to be okay with holding it for 3 to 5 years to really see your maximum appreciation. Now, if I were targeting areas, Richfield is still that affordability plus proximity play. Bloomington, near the Mall of America, is going to be really interesting. And if you got accessible South Minneapolis neighborhoods like Nokomis, those tend to get pulled into this too. Then you've got redevelopment pressure. Properties with great lots, but older homes become very attractive. Investors can buy older homes on a good lot, renovate it or rebuild it, and then sell it at a higher value. That's just how it works when land values start rising. But the thing is, Mystery Cove tilts the family lifestyle math toward Bloomington and those nearby suburbs. Having a major indoor water park that's open year-round gives families a valuable amenity without dealing with the traffic and parking challenges of downtown. And nobody, quite frankly, wants that every week. And when you combine that with Nickelodeon Universe, Sea Life Aquarium, and everything else the Mall of America has to offer, families have enough entertainment variety to justify living in the southern suburbs. And zooming out, job growth, tourism spending, and infrastructure investment, that makes the local economy more resilient. Places that keep getting visitors tend to build more vibrant neighborhoods and stronger commercial areas. So for families relocating to the Twin Cities, Bloomington checks a lot of boxes. Safe neighborhoods, a lot of parks, easy access to the airport, and now a major water park that rivals standalone resort destinations. But before we wrap this up, you got to understand how this fits into something bigger happening across the entire Twin Cities metro area. How this fits into a bigger trend. So Mall of America just didn't wake up one day and say, Hey, let's add a water park. This is basically the end result of a 40-year strategy. And as I said earlier, the mall is targeting a 50-50 balance between retail and entertainment. Retail gets people to visit once, while experiences get people to come back. That's the bottom line. And Mystery Cove fills a gap. It complements what they've already have instead of competing with it. So now families can build a multi-day plan to stay in the area and visit the water park and all the other attractions that the Mall of America has to offer. Day 1 is the water park. Day 2, Nickelodeon Universe and Sea Life. And day 3, shopping at events at the mall. And every extra day means more hotel revenue, more dining, more retail spending, all of it. And don't get me wrong, downtown Minneapolis is still important, but suburban centers are taking a bigger share of retail, entertainment, and hospitality investment. Bloomington has a full development plan for the South Loop district around the Mall of America. Mixed-use development, transit-oriented density, better walkability, and integrated office, residential, retail, and hospitality. So Mystery Cove fits that bigger vision of building a dense, walkable, entertainment-rich district that functions as a destination. The South Loop is turning into a real urban sub-district with the Mall of America and the water park as the entertainment anchors. And here's a key shift. Traditional suburban development leaned on offices as the anchor, and that model is getting challenged because remote work reduces office demand. So entertainment anchored development is more resilient because you can't do a water park remotely. You've got to physically be there. And that resistance to digital displacement gives stability that office dependent development just doesn't have. And while office demand can swing around, entertainment demand tends to stay more stable, especially for family-focused stuff. Cities that invest in experiences hold attention and value longer. Entertainment destinations give reasons for repeated visits, sustained spending, and long-term vibrancy that retail-only models can't begin to match. So that long-term thinking is exactly why tracking what happens between now and 2029 gives you a real competitive edge. So here's exactly what you should be watching. The biggest thing to watch is construction milestones, because that tells you if this stays on schedule or if it starts sliding. Construction begins in the spring of 2026. Then 2026 through 2028, you're going to see the vertical build. Steel frame exterior going up, the interior build out. If that speeds up or slows down, that's your signal the timeline is changing. Then in 2028 to 2029 is the final systems, testings, and commissioning. And make sure you watch that retractable roof installation. That's going to be a big milestone. Now, watch for new hotel announcements near the Mall of America and along the I-494 corridor. 555 has already indicated a hotel directly connected to the water park. And if you start seeing more projects pop up, that's the industry basically saying, yeah, we believe this is happening, which they should because they already have permit approval. Then keep your eyes on the roads, parking capacity announcement, and transit updates, like the Metro Blue Line service or station improvements. Also, watch zoning changes because that's usually the first clue developers are getting serious about higher density projects. If you start seeing applications for new apartments or mixed-use projects, that's private sector confidence. And if older properties start getting redeveloped, that's the market recognizing the location is now worth more. On the housing side, monitor how fast homes are selling in Bloomington, Richfield, and South Minneapolis. Track whether price growth in those areas starts beating the broader Twin Cities market. And permits in the South Loop district of Bloomington. That's another big one. That's developer confidence in real time. So here's the bottom line. Those indicators give you early signals that most people miss. Track them consistently and you'll spot opportunities before they're obvious to everyone else. So in conclusion, the question isn't if Mystery Cove changes Bloomington. Financing approval, construction start, and the fact that they pushed this for 40 years tells you change is coming. The real question is, who positions themselves to benefit from it the most? If you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in the South Metro, specifically Bloomington, Richfield, Eagan, or South Minneapolis, shoot us an email at team@hhgus.com today, and we can walk you through what's happening in those specific cities. And I've linked a video here to break down how the Twin Cities housing market has just shifted. Inventory is rising, bidding wars are dropping, and builder incentives are creating opportunities that resale sellers can't match. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the next video and house.